The first layer of our quilt will be the backing. Now, I have already torn my backing to the proper size. I'm going to take my backing and I'm going to fluff it out here, and I want to get my backing where about 3 inches is hanging over on this edge, 3 to 4 inches. Not a lot, but you want to make sure you have enough to where your quilt top is going to have some behind it on all parts of the table. And the same amount on this adjacent side. Then we're going to let whatever's left just hang off on the other side there. Nice and squared up here. And my table is rough. I like a table with a little bit of abrasion to it. My husband made this table for me for this purpose, and we did not put much finish on it, so it would be rough. Now, it keeps my material where I put it, makes sure all the wrinkles are out, and doesn't let it come back up and form a wrinkle where I don't know it is. So that's what I want. I want the same amount hanging over on this side here and this side here. Now, the next thing we need is our batting. We want to make sure our batting is wide enough and long enough to hang over on all the sides also. We're going to unfold the batting, and this is the cotton batting. If you're using the polyester, you'll take it out of the bag and fluff it up good. Some people like to fluff it overnight. That's your business, whatever you want to do. It will be easier to handle, though, if it's relaxed. Now, I want to let not quite as much hang over as I did on the backing. I want to be able to see the edge of the backing and the edge of the batting hanging over on this table to make sure that everything is going to work out right. You do not need a tremendous amount, but a couple of inches will do. Then we want to get all the extra hanging off the table here. Keep checking your sides. Make sure you've got the right amount on all sides. Spread the wrinkles out with your hands. This is important now. You can kind of jerk on the backing once in a while. Once you get the batting on there, the backing has a little weight on it, and you can make it do what you want it to do. Now, this next step, we're going to take the quilt top itself. We're going to spread it out, and we want to bring it right to the top edge of the table here on 2 sides. This side right here and this side right here. Let the extra hang off. We don't care about the batting back, but we want this one right at the edge. So the edge of the quilt top comes to the edge of the table on 2 sides. The extra is going to hang off here, just like the other 2 layers. So we have plenty of everything hanging off to match that up later on. Get these wrinkles out. Just kind of iron it with your hands. Now, we have them layered. This is where our clamps come in. We're going to start clamping at the corner where both sides are at the edge of the table. We're going to clamp it. And you need 3 to 4 clamps per side. That's all 4 clamps on this side. The next side you're going to work on is the opposite side. So we're going to come down to this end. Smooth all this looseness out. We want to get this tight at this time. Take all your layers and kind of pull on. Make sure the top is even with the edge of the table here. Smooth it down and put a clamp. And you're going to start on the edge that's even with the tabletop. Now find a line in your quilt as it goes along, and that line should stay even with this end of the quilt top of the table. So go along and clamp these. We started on the north end, then we go to the south end. And if it's north-south, this would be east. So we're going to go east next, because we want to come back up here to the side that is even with the table. We're going to smooth over and clamp the east side. Remember, north, south, east. We're going to clamp it. And then at the very last side, we're going to go west, young man, go west. we're going to take the quilt top, smooth the wrinkles out. Make sure whatever point on this quilt top you can find, this line right here should be the same distance as this line right here. So try to keep it squared up. The next step is make sure you have backing and batting beyond your quilt top on the two sides that are sticking out. So there's my backing and there's my batting. So I'm doing good. So we'll get busy with this quilt now. We're ready to pin base now. This is one of the tools I was telling you about. It's a little wooden handled thing with metal on the end with grooves in it. And this is made so that when you pin down into all your layers and come back up, you can prop it on that and clip your pin, because your fingers will get sore after a while. And you're able to use smaller pins when you do this. We're going to take our safety pins, go down and come up about that far apart, about a hand width apart. And you want to pin where you are within the strip of material or whatever your pattern is. You do not want to get across the stitching lines, because we're going to do some stitching in the ditch with our walking foot. This is a good time to get your quilting buddies to come over, put on a pound cake and some coffee, and tell them you're having a pinning party. And when they come over and help you pin, don't forget to be available when their quilt needs pinning. And it helps it to go by in a hurry. You can find tables at an office supply store, those brown ones that you see everywhere. You can get them in the 2 foot by 4 foot or the 6 foot long sizes. And you can use these tables and then fold them up and put them away, out of the way, under a bed or whatever, when you're not using them. And they won't be all the time in your way. And you can also pull them out at holidays when you have company come in and use them. So those are nice. Anything that has the lip on it that you can clamp to will work. Do not use your good dining table, because it might scratch it. But you want to get you a table that you can work with. Now we're going to pin this entire section that we have showing. And as I said, all these are about that far apart. You can put them closer, but there's really no reason to. If you put them farther away, it's going to make your quilting not turn out as pretty. So don't fudge on that part. We want to have a good, stable quilt top when we start to quilt, and that's done by pinning them closely enough. Now I'll pin all of what's showing, and then I will come back and shift it and show you how to do that. When you're pinning don't pin in the green. That is so narrow. This little green border, I would pin just on the inside of this wider border, and then on this side of the wider border. You do want some pins right toward the edge to hold it in place as you quilt. When you quilt this on your machine, after you go by a section, you can remove the pins from that section if it makes it easier to work with. So I'll pin here, and then I will pin just on this side a little bit. Watch for dark threads in your border. You can move them out of the way at this time, and that's a good thing to look for. So I'll finish pinning this, and then I'll be back and show you how to shift it over.